Are we finally leaving behind the party tricks of AI and beginning to enter an era where platforms deliver real outcomes, measurable value, ROI? Well, in this episode, I'm joined by Adrian McDermott, CTO of Zendesk. He's got 15 years at the helm of Zendesk product and technology vision and a Yorkshireman's perspective from San Francisco, because Adrian has a unique vantage point on how AI is reshaping customer service at both strategic and human level. And this isn't a conversation about chatbots or technical features. It's actually a window into how Zendesk is thinking long term. So we'll be talking about their new Resolution Platform, how that's bringing together AI agents, copilots and real-time analytics and voice capabilities all into one cohesive system. But most importantly, my guest is going to explain that AI is not about replacing people. It's creating a better service experience across every interaction, whether that's a customer reaching out in a chat window or an agent looking for context inside a complex support case. And I also want to find out more about the real impact of recent acquisitions like Klaus, Ultimate, Timeshift and Local Measure. Not as trophy purchases, but what appears to be strategic moves to consolidate CX tooling and focus on measurable business outcomes. So what happens when AI agents start talking to each other? What does it mean when a virtual assistant represents a customer, not a company? And have we reached the iPhone moment for AI in CX, or are we all still stuck in the Windows Mobile phase? We'll discuss all this and much more. So that means it's time for me to officially introduce you to Adrian now. So thank you for joining me on the show today, Adrian. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, Neil. Good to see you. I'm Adrian McDermott. I'm the CTO of Zendesk. That's something I've done for the last 15 years. And I have sort of an engineering and product background, but I'm really now focused on strategy, M&A, and trying to figure out, what is going on at the intersection of AI and customer experience and where we should be taking our technology and guiding our customers. And for context, I am a Yorkshireman living in San Francisco.
Oh, wow. I'm curious. What do you miss about Yorkshire when you're in San Francisco?
This season, I miss going regularly to Leeds United. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And the cultural zeitgeist, that's really what you miss.
Is this a good time to say that I'm a Derby County fan or not, do you think?
I think it's never a good time to be a Derby.
I think you are right there. My dad kind of cursed me with that, so I'm beyond repair there. But obviously we're talking today, you're at the big Zendesk event. So what have been the big takeaways so far from everything that you've seen and heard?
I think that, in some ways I see this event or this moment as us moving from kind of chapter 1 to chapter 2 of the application of generative AI, right? We were obsessed with sort of model sizes and capabilities and things that we could do with the technology for the past couple of years. Like I think ChatGPT launched in October 2022. I think at this point, our customers are getting up on stage and they're talking about, their applications of AI in customer service to give better experiences to their customers and kind of the end-to-end service design that they're doing to create those experiences. I think that for me, that's just really powerful because we've moved into the phase where it's not just, party tricks, it's platforms. And we're really building things that have value and have meaning. And, at Zendesk, we just launched the Resolution Platform to tie the value we receive to the value the customers receive. And we also are really thinking now about not these little fragmented features that come together, but how do you solve the problem as a whole in a measurable, governable way that makes sense for people so that they can start consuming the technology and get on with their lives of, providing better service to their customers.
You made so many great points there, and I love that line that it's now about platforms, not party tricks. It feels this year there's been a big shift where we're moving away from the hype. We're seeing maturity since, October 2022, when generative AI landed. And there is a big focus this year as well on the ROI of tech projects. Is that something you're seeing and hearing over there at the event today too?
It is. It is. I actually was talking to a financial services, like modern financial services customer of Zendesk, and they're in kind of, they've moved from, let's kind of work on this together and find and measure the ROI to, you should really be able to run a model that would prove and predict the ROI up front. And you need to do that and help me build the business case. And I think that's the point that we're at. Part of that, in my opinion, is, and I am a buyer of technology, right? So I feel this myself. We're all inundated with high quality and low quality AI pitches from, every vendor. It feels like the laundrette on the corner of my street is also like pitching me on the AI machines that they have now. Like everyone has an AI product to sell. And so I think we're getting to the point of, well, how are we going to measure reality? But right now I think customers are in the position of like, well, you prove it to me up front, show me now, I'll put some skin in the game. If I'm going to put effort into deploying this, I think we need to be in it together. And I think that's why it's getting real.
And not only are you a buyer of technology, so is Zendesk, because from the outside looking in, you guys have been incredibly busy making some bold moves on M&A recently, from Local Measure and Ultimate to Klaus and Timeshift. What's the thinking behind this strategy, and how are these acquisitions helping shape the next generation of Zendesk AI?
Yeah, I think in, taking a step back, Zendesk was a really large single product company with the Zendesk suite, where we tried to make it as simple as possible to discover, try, buy, use Zendesk, the product family in the suite. And, you didn't have to go recontract to add a channel or do everything else. I think the next thing that, there's a couple of moves that we kind of made, which were, well, what are the other things that our economic buyer would kind of want to see from us? And what are the other innovations that we see in our marketplace? We have almost, 1,500 to 2,000 apps in the Zendesk marketplace. And I think where our customers are finding value is perhaps where we could help them consolidate down to a single vendor. And I think you and I both know that vendor consolidation has been a theme for the past couple of years. And so Timeshift was an amazing workforce management company that had built a product in the Zendesk ecosystem. Our customers loved it. And so it just made sense for that to be part of the product family, because as an integrated unit, there was a lot of strength in what they were doing. And, getting access to first party data versus coming in through the API just means that we can innovate a lot faster on that product and build cool things. Klaus was an incredible AI product. I think they were early in the AI game in QA, where they're able to run a series of low latency home built AI models over 100% of customer service tickets and create this great experience where you can score them all, right? Just for context, customer service QA is generally done by sampling, 1% to 2% of tickets and using humans to score, saying this had a good greeting, the spelling was good, Neil's grammar is great, but he's not very polite and his tone is off, these kind of things, right? Kind of true. And so that sampling methodology, there was a 20-year-old practice, or more in customer service. I think we've gotten to the point now where we can use AI to go all the way across. And that team's doing some wonderful innovation around custom prompts, where you can actually, get an LLM to look at every single ticket and say, let's say you're in the gaming space, like does this customer seem like they're underage? Do you see any customer conversations where it seems like someone has a gambling addiction? All these kind of things that you can do in regulated and non-regulated industries that I think are really powerful. So I think there you've got to think about what we're doing as what buyers of innovation, buyers of teams that we can put together. And then finally, last year we also acquired this company, Ultimate.ai. They had probably an incredible bot built in Berlin primarily and a little bit in Helsinki. And they created just a great technology implementation of agentic agents running at scale in customer service. And that was, I think, you got to go where the market is going. And it was fantastic to be able to integrate them into the team. And Zendesk AI Agents technology stack is based a lot around that. And then finally, yesterday, although as it's tomorrow in Australia, or it was 2 days ago, and they're based in Sydney, we acquired a company called Local Measure. And we can maybe talk more about this if you like, but yeah, they're scaled contact center business. and built upon Amazon Connect. And I think it's fantastic for us to have integrated contact center into the Zendesk suite so we can do global enterprise, voice contact center integration.
And I saw the press release for that drop last night. What excites you about this big announcement? Because again, it feels like a big deal.
Yeah, I think looking, trying to predict, crystal ball the industry and look around corners. I think we have to think about what is the role of the phone channel, voice channel, VoIP channel in the future in customer service, right? For a while, I think it was fashionable to say that, voice is a bit of a boomer channel. It had an aging demographic. You and I were both fans, put it that way. And there was a lot of usage of it in that way. But I think that the role in a generative AI world is really going to change. It's going to change in a couple of ways. Firstly, if you think about the ambition of the majority of companies is to automate a significant number of the inquiries they get from their users. And if you're automating inquiries, right, you need an escape valve, you need an exit point, you need to be able to get, allow people to jump out of the conversation and into another conversation. And so in the moments when someone is frustrated where it's not working for them, how do they get out of that? The way that we always get out of that traditionally, and the way that we probably do it now, is in moments of frustration or in moments of escalation, we turn to voice, right? I think if we can build a really super seamless integration, like the one Local Measure has built with us that we are now going to put together and extend, in, say you're in the chat channel, getting a callback that is warm where the agent is already has every piece of context about what was Neil looking for, right? Switching channels in that way in kind of an omni-channel way for escalations is just super, super powerful. So in a world of automation, the escalation channel is voice, and you need it to be tightly integrated. You need it to be warm when you hand over. B, did I say one or did I say A? I said A, right? It's really important to get your numbering right, otherwise it's confusing. Secondly, I think that, are you familiar with, it's a sort of fashionable concept now to talk about Jevons paradox.
Oh, no, tell me more.
It's a big thing in the AI world. I think Satya, the CEO of Microsoft, referenced it recently. Jevons paradox, I think Jevon was an economist who studied the use of coal in the Industrial Revolution. And he's like, when we make steam engines more efficient, we'll need less coal. And that wasn't true. When we made steam engines more efficient, people use more steam engines. When your Prius gets more miles to the gallon, then you drive more. You still spend the same amount or do whatever, right? Think about that in customer service voice. You might think this is a tenuous leap, but go with me. If you create voice AI implementations that are pleasing to use, many of us will return, and we see this in the way that people use the voice for Chat GPT and other services, right? Where if you get a really slick and great voice implementation, people start to use it more. That will happen in customer service. And so again, having a contact center embedded within Zendesk where we can drive that AI from the other AI assets we have, where it can be a great experience, that we think that's going to be really important for our customers. So that was an important asset for us to integrate into the core.
And at Relate, you unveiled the new Resolution Platform, which feels like this major step forward in Zendesk's AI journey. But I'm curious, from your viewpoint here, what is it that makes this such a pivotal moment, especially when it comes to voice and conversational service?
I think that the Resolution Platform is really pulling together a series of different forces into one understandable name. And let me try and enumerate those. It's firstly, I think we were forward and aggressive in tying the unit economics of how you pay for Zendesk to the unit economics of the value you were getting. Resolving a customer issue, not just a contact and not just a seat, who's sitting in the seat. Resolving an issue is really the value, which is why we wanted to center it around resolutions. The second thing is, I think the paradigms, and there are a set of, rituals that are becoming clear and technology stacks that are becoming clear in the use of AI. There will be some kind of AI agent, which is customer facing and talking to customers. There'll be some kind of AI agent, which is helping agents or co-piloting with agents. There'll be an content generation agent, which is like helping build up a knowledge base. There'll be multiple analysis and QA agents that will be monitoring everything and making suggestions or finding problems. And I think there's a lot of, I think customers are looking for simplification always, right? The original, when I joined Zendesk in 2010, the internal philosophy of the company was beautifully simple. We tried to build product that basically told you how to give, great support. There were 8 triggers and automation inside the box when you turned it on. It wasn't a box, when you started a trial, and those 8 triggers and automation showed you how to do good email support. The way that best in class companies were doing email support. And it just worked out of the box. It was opinionated. Yes, you could change it. I think with the Resolution Platform, we're trying to do that or begin that motion in a generative AI and customer service world, right? You should kind of have the AI agent in this way. You should be able to generate content in this way. You should have agent co-piloting in this way. Then you can tie it all together. You can measure the value. You can govern the risk. And I think that's really what an AI platform is, but not 17-point solutions. So the Resolution Platform is tying all those concepts together and then helping people understand what is it actually giving you. Well, it's automating these resolutions and it's doing it in this way.
And of course, Local Measure brought real-time voice and omni-channel capabilities into the Zendesk fold. So what's your overall vision for voice as part of the broader Resolution Platform? And how do you see it maybe further transforming the service experience? Where do you see this going?
I think that, I think our customers are going to put a lot of energy and effort into their AI automation platforms and their copilot platforms and their QA platforms, right? And I think that they're going to want to apply those to every channel, synchronous and asynchronous, right? And so if I've spent a lot of time building out the automated procedure and the integrations for it so that an AI agent can autonomously do a return or a human agent can approve and run a return, I want that to work on email, chat, voice, social, wherever I meet my customers and I chat to them. And so firstly, I think the ubiquity of solution and work delivery is really important to our customers, so they feel like the work they're putting in is highly leveraged. So voice will be one of the channels where you can apply all of the tools that you have, right? Versus I have a bot for chat and I have press 1 for sales, press 2 for support, IVR for voice, right? And so we're taking our existing very sophisticated agentic AI agent implementation, and we're bringing that to the voice channel, probably in Q3 and Q4. And so everything about voice, basically the theme, is going to be equivalent to all of the other channels that we have. And it needs to stop sitting outside in the separate contact center implementation and come inside. It's warm, it's cozy. We've built all this stuff, and voice should be able to leverage it.
And I'm glad you mentioned AI agents there. Last year, Gartner made a big deal saying 2025 was all going to be about agentic AI and AI agents, and it has proven to be that way. And one of the things that really stood out for me, if we just remove AI agents, is actually that Zendesk was the first in the CX industry to offer outcome-based pricing for AI agents. Can you tell me a bit more about that, the strategy, the thinking, and the kind of feedback you've had from that move too?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, right, with resolutions, like the idea is our outcome and the customer's outcome should be tied. We should share the same goal, share the same economic outcome. And we should also understand that that is the driving goal and reason that we do automation and we do other things, right? We don't do automation to deflect you. We do automation to resolve your problem so that you have a good outcome. Or the outcome maybe no, but it needs to be resolved. And so I think in general, there's a shift in the SaaS industry as a whole. We've been paying for services by the minute, by the each, by the click with AWS and Azure for a long time now. We're kind of getting used to that motion. And so other SaaS services feel like they should begin to adopt that, especially as the level of automation and mechanization in them grows. I think how are customers responding to it? I think a lot of customers are really interested in tying their value to and their spend to what they're using. something that, we're all super comfortable with. But at the same time, it's a new motion in customer support, right? I think developers are really used to paying for, EC2 processors, and they know that if they use too many, then they have to pay the bill. And they better make their code more efficient or figure out how to tamp that down again, right? Managing your cost, it's an industry. I think in CX and in other places in customer service land, we're sometimes not quite there yet, right? We don't know exactly the fear of how much will I be spending. And that's where data comes in. That's where mapping customer journeys comes in. And that's where experimentation comes in. And so I think we've learned to show up in a very proactive way for our customers to help guide them through that transition and that process and make sure that it works for them. And for some people, it doesn't. They're like, love tracking outcomes, love the reporting, love all of these things. I'm gonna stay kind of seat and usage kind of people. So yeah, it just depends. I think everything is one of the things that's really fun about doing SaaS and customer service right now is generative AI is disrupting the industry a little bit. It's causing people to question assumptions. And so in those times of change, that's when you can innovate and you can try a few things out. And, not all of them will work, but a lot of them will. And the CX industry won't be the same afterwards.
You've been incredibly busy today, back-to-back meetings, podcast recordings, and you've even been on a panel with Next, which I hear was incredibly interesting. So if you take everything that you've heard today, everything that you've seen at the event, all those conversations, what are you going to be reflecting about on the way home after everything you've seen and heard?
I think primarily what's next.
Yeah.
Right. If we're putting, I feel like we're hanging the mission accomplished banner on the deck of the aircraft carrier right here and saying, okay, we've moved this far in AI and it's really good. But I think what's really interesting is what's next. LLMs are really good at three things, right? They can create content. They're generative. They generate new content. They have an incredible world knowledge. They've read the entire internet and retained all of it. And so you have this thing which can write anything for you and it's pretty accurate. Also, because of the world knowledge, it can understand you. And then the third characteristic of them is that they can reason, they can plan, they can make something happen. If you give them a goal, they will work towards that goal. The sophistication that you can get in an agentic bot when it's well constructed, like the Zendesk Advanced AI Agent, is that it can actually look at 100 different contact reasons that you could have for a customer service inquiry, and it could talk to you until it figures out what is it that Neil is trying to do. Let me get the information that I need from him and keep it going. Right? Extraordinary ability. There's if you think about the level of human training that would be required for a human agent to get to that point, it's quite significant. And so I think I worry, as and I think I'm basically paid to do this as a CTO. I worry that if you take the analogy of the early days of the internet, I think, it's like we're in the early days of the internet. In the early days of the internet, for e-commerce, I'm old enough to remember this, you would open Netscape 3.1 and you would go to the virtual shopping mall and you would actually walk down a little terribly graphicked aisle and you'd look in a store and then you couldn't buy anything. It would just be a showroom, right? Because there was no e-commerce at the time that worked pretty much. Or you think about in mobile where, initially, I had a Windows mobile phone with a start button and it was little windows on a flip phone, right? I love that flip phone. I'm not going to lie. But, it was weird. And then along came the iPhone and, App Store and everything else, and there was innovation. So we have to ask ourselves as we turn the corner where we're at. Are we building Windows mobile on top of generative AI? Is the structures that we've put in place in terms of AI agents to talk to customers and copilot and, QA and creation agents and content moderation agents, are those things just making what we have already better? Or is there innovation and disruption to come? I think we have to assume that there's innovation and disruption to come. I don't know that we can assume that. I hope we haven't built Windows Mobile. No offense to all the Windows Mobile developers. But I hope we haven't built the two-dimensional shopping mall where you can't buy anything, but you have to walk down the aisle very, very slowly. But maybe we have. And so I continue professionally to be paranoid about that coming innovation and waiting for it, because I do believe we've only just begun to scratch the surface of what can you do with a data center filled with PhDs, with the intelligence that we have to bring to bear to these problems. But I am excited that we're really starting to uncover really what is the value of a human in customer service. And there aren't customers this year coming to us and saying, oh, I want to automate 100% of my inquiries. Customers are like, oh, I need to understand which of the automatable ones where it makes total sense and which of the ones where that is a really bad idea. And then there are customers who are like saying, using an AI agent is a really great way to treat my backlog of features that I'm not going to be able to code. I can low code describe all the things I want my customers to be able to do, and it can help me automate those and get them ready. The user interface is going to be the chat window, not my application, but that's okay because I'll eventually get around to implementing them. So there's so much innovation.
There really is, and I think we're of a similar age, and someone that's been there from those Netscape Navigator days where you open a magazine and AOL discs and Netscape Navigator CDs would fall out, and to where we are now, and we've progressed so much, but as you said, we're still just scratching the surface. So as a CTO with one eye on the future, what is it that excites you most about this road ahead? Any other tech trends that particularly excite you or make you want to jump out of bed in the morning?
I think on a personal level, right, I'm a man of a certain age with a computer science degree whose coding skills had atrophied over time, and what my current love and obsession is vibe coding. It's this idea that I don't need to remember all the syntax now and know all the new fancy things that the kids are using, because I have like a machine. I just tell it kind of what to do, but I can like be compiling constantly and building PRs and everything else. Obviously, no one at Zendesk is going to let me check code into production, right? But I do love the idea that, a single person $1 billion revenue company is going to be built within the next year or two. That, personal productivity can be absolutely extraordinary as a result. And then thinking about how to apply that to, and so many of the other things that you can do with AI, how to apply them to our business is the trend that really excites me and I'm playing around with. And I think daily rituals like writing a little code myself every day, using Claude or GPT code, it's kind of fun.
Oh, beautiful. And a very powerful moment to end on. But before I let you go, anyone listening wanting to find out more information about some of the announcements coming out of the event, how they can keep up to speed with future announcements or connect with you or your team, where would you like to point everyone?
Well, I think, Zendesk is pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn and, our website and everything else. We are in a lot of publications. And so tracking me in that way, I'm definitely, you could say that CTO stands for Chief Talking Officer. And if you want to be really fabulous, I'm actually going to the Raise AI Summit in Paris in a month or two. And I'll be giving a presentation there, which I think is going to be a really cool event where we're going to talk a lot about the future.
Awesome. Well, I will add links to everything, including the summit where you will be speaking there for people to check out. And we covered a lot there. But one of the things that really stood out for me, a great line you used earlier in our conversation now about we're now building platforms, not party tricks. And that new focus on ROI, measurable value, is so important, and also customer centricity, the rise of voice. And we could talk for another hour on this, but just thank you for taking time off the show floor to come and speak with me today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Neil. I think let's set a date. We'll talk in a year and everything will be completely different, except for us. We'll just be a little bit older.
One of the things I loved talking with Adrian about today was not just the depth of insight, but I think the honesty that he brought to the conversation. There was no hype when he was talking about AI, just engineering pragmatism combined with curiosity. Because it isn't about chasing buzzwords. It should be about designing systems that actually work for real people. And the shift from features to platforms really came through, I think, loud and clear today, that Zendesk isn't positioning itself as, hey, another tool in the stack. It's actually building a framework for how companies resolve issues in a more connected, intelligent, and human way. And whether it is outcome-based pricing, voice channel escalation, or full lifecycle resolution, The focus is firmly on delivering clarity and consistency at scale. And Adrian offered a timely reminder as well that technology is moving fast, yes, but what customers want, that hasn't changed that much at all. They want to be understood, they want answers, and they want a service that feels effortless, seamless. And whether that comes from an AI agent or an AI, it has to work and it has to feel personal. So here is the question. Is your customer service strategy still piecing together tools? Or are you building toward a unified resolution platform? Let me know what you think. Is your voice ready for reinvention? Are AI agents delivering more than they promise yet? And are we at the beginning of something much bigger? Or are we just scratching the surface? Are we just starting with the basics? Love to know your thoughts and experiences here. Please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, TikTok, just at Neil C. Hughes. Keep your questions and insights coming through. I'm going to go prepare for another guest that will be joining us very soon. And you are cordially invited to join me as well. So I'll speak with you all then. Bye for now.